Hello and welcome to Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich. Our guest today is Jenilee Peterson, and she's a Catholic from Victoria, originally from India, but she can tell you all about it. And we're going to be discussing Mary, Queen of Peace's messages from Medjugorje. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mirella. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back here. And off camera, we were talking about something beautiful you just said off camera. I was saying how a lot of Indian people in general that I seem to come across seem very humble and just very gentle and sweet.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning that there's a proverb or there's a word that you all say in India.
Yeah, it's in Sanskrit, and it says Atiti Devo Bhava, which means a guest is equal to God or is God sent. So a lot of Indian people treat their guests with almost like that devotion, like the God-like devotion, like you're an angel sent by God.
That's so beautiful.
So yeah, I've noticed that even in India, when I used to go to like my friends' houses or, and their parents would always treat even us like kids with so much respect and warmth and welcoming, like, that welcoming greeting. And it used to be so nice. And I experienced the same thing here, like in the Indian community here as well.
Yeah,
it's
that's
beautiful.
so lovely.
Yeah.
I thought I'll just talk a little bit, and then we'll do Mary's messages. But I'll talk about some of the things that Mary often says in her messages, which has sort of come to the fore right now. Our Lady says in her messages, she often mentions that she sees the people who are living her messages and giving witness to others with their lives, that she's noticing them.
Yeah.
And she said that, and she thanks us for that. And she often mentions that our prayer should be a joy for us. We should be praying with joy.
Yeah.
That in fact every day should be a joyful moment for us. Yeah. And the only reason I'm thinking that it isn't, if it isn't, is because we're just darkened by gloom and doom in the world. Like we don't have to be, because if we have to focus on this, she's actually saying the opposite.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I always say that, anything negative, like even negative emotions, whether it's anxiety or stress or depression or loneliness, it does not come from God. It's not intended by God. But what God intends for us is to be feeling joy, is to be feeling peaceful, and to be feeling loved, because God is love, right? So I always say to my friends that all these emotions, we should not ever think that, God, why am I like this? Because it's not coming from God. But if we are close to God, we will be joyful. And the Bible does say, for the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so, I think the more we spend time in prayer, the more we spend time in praying biblical prayers, like the rosary is from the Bible. And, if we spend time basically in prayer and one-on-one time with God, we will be filled with a lot more positivity and a lot more joy and positive emotions.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Yeah. And you see people that actually live when they, even like if you go to Mass, you notice when you go to Mass, after you leave, everyone's lifted up a bit more.
Yeah.
There's this joy in their heart that's it's not announced or anything, but it's just an inner peace and an inner joy you can just feel with it amongst everybody. They're all like, oh, hi, everyone's happy if they don't know each other.
And not just when you come out of Mass, but I've noticed that every time I finish confession and come out of the confessional, I feel like a burden is lightened, like it's taken away from my shoulders, and I feel so much lighter and so much more at peace with my own self.
Yeah.
And so it's very real, like these feelings of, when we come out of prayer, or when you come out of church, or when you come out of the confessional, God does give you that peace through His Holy Spirit. He does give you that feeling of joy, and you feel loved by God. Like it's very real. I have experienced it as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's another thing Mary says as well, to go to confession in her 5 stones. She says fasting, prayer, go to confession, Mass, the Eucharist, and read the Bible.
Yes.
All right, so I'll start with one of Mary's messages. We'll start with, we'll start with December the 25th, 2020 to Yakov Kolo, and then we'll discuss it. Our Lady said to Yakov Kolo, one of the visionaries from Medjugorje, "Dear children, also today Jesus is here beside you, even when you think that you are alone and that light does not exist in your life. He is here and has never left you or distanced himself from you. The light of his birth illuminates this world and your life. His heart is always open towards you, to receive your every pain, every trial, fear, and need. His arms are extended towards you, that as a father, he may embrace you and tell you how important you are for him, how much he loves you and cares for his children. Children, is your heart open towards Jesus? Have you completely surrendered your life into his hands? Have you accepted Jesus as your Father, to whom you can always turn and in him find consolation and everything you need to live true faith? That is why, my children, surrender your hearts to Jesus and permit him to begin to rule your lives, because only in this way will you accept the present and be able to face the world in which you live today. With Jesus, every fear, suffering, and pain disappear, because your heart accepts his will and everything that comes into your life. Jesus will give you the faith to accept everything, and nothing will distance you from him, because he firmly holds you by the hand and does not permit you to distance and lose yourself in difficult moments, because he has become the Lord of your life. I bless you with my motherly blessing. And that was that one. That's so beautiful, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
So comforting. Just
Absolutely.
But we'll have to discuss it when we come back from the break. We have to go to a break now.
Sure.
You're watching Spirit of Life. I hope you're enjoying the program. We'll be back with more very shortly. Hello and welcome back to Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Jenilee Peterson and we're discussing Mary Queen of Peace's message from Medjugorje on December the 25th, 2020. Remember that year? Welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Mirella.
And so we'll just discuss it line by line, just say what we think about it, and also the viewers can just say what they think about it to themselves, you know. It's just each person's interpretation.
Yeah.
So Our Lady said, "Dear children, also today Jesus is here beside you, even when you think that you are alone and that light does not exist in your life. He is here and has never left you or distanced himself from you."
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
It's so coincidental that we've mentioned the year 2020, because that was the year when we were in the lockdown. Like, you know, Melbourne was having its longest lockdown, and I was kind of having like a crisis, because I was like having a bit of a panic attack during one of those days, and I was just like, where is my life going? Like, when am I going to be able to see my parents again? When am I going to be able to, get a full-time job? Because I was without a job at that time, and I needed to move out of my auntie's house, and I really wanted to get along with my life. And I was like, how many years more will I have in Australia? Because I wasn't sure. I'd just finished my last semester of masters, and I was going through a bit of a low phase. And I remember posting a picture on Instagram with all these thoughts in the caption, and a lot of people resonated with me. But in hindsight, what I did not actively see was that God was working behind the scenes to make things happen for me. And the things that unfolded after that was just so miraculous, because then I got 2 part-time jobs, and I was able to move out of my auntie's house in a lockdown scenario, which I'd never thought would happen. Got a beautiful place at that point of time, 1-bedroom apartment in Richmond. And, I'd never lived alone before, but God gave me the strength to do that as well. And shortly after that, 2022, when the borders reopened, I was able to see my mom when she visited. And then last year I went back to India, saw my dad as well. So it was a bit daunting at the time, but God made everything work. Behind the scenes, things were falling into place for me. And yeah, even when I thought, I was alone and like I didn't have anyone with me to understand me, or like my parents are not around me, but God was with me. He did not leave me alone in those times. And there was a constant reminder, like every day something would happen that would remind me like, oh, God is working. God is working behind the scenes.
That's
and He's
it.
putting all things together for you, for your good.
And remember that for everybody, that
Yeah.
that there's always stuff going on behind the scenes. It's not what we see.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
always what we see in front of us. It's the truth.
But the things that are unseen.
Exactly. So then Our Lady said, He is here and has never left you or distanced Himself from you. Then she went on to say, the light of His birth illuminates this world and your life. His heart is always open towards you to receive your every pain, every trial, fear and need. His arms are extended towards you, that as a father He may embrace you and tell you how important you are for Him, how much He loves you and cares for His children.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, because I have experienced that firsthand, like the Lord's embrace when I was going through brokenheartedness, like in 2018, between the months of February to June, I was going through a very, very rough patch where I was, I had a broken heart. And I used to basically cry myself to sleep during those days, but then and I would not want to wake up in the morning because it was so bad, like the pain I was feeling in my heart was so bad. But every morning I would wake up and have to go to work because I was still working in India at that time. And but something that really got me through that was gospel music. And I used to listen to this particular song called Praise You in the Storm. That was the song I used to listen to every morning. And it was like a soothing balm to my soul and to my heart. So I used to start the day by doing that. And I used to end the day by spending an hour in front of the Blessed Sacrament in adoration, in the Adoration Chapel in St. Mary's Basilica back in Hyderabad. So I used to start my day with gospel music and end my day in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And that was like Jesus giving me a warm embrace, like whether it was listening to that music or whether it was sitting in adoration. It used to be like, how Mother Mary just spoke to us in this message and says, the Lord's arms are extended to you in warm embrace. And the Bible does say the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and especially those who are weak in spirit, He embraces them. And during that time, I really had that firsthand experience of God helping me, like comforting me like a father, embracing me and saying, don't worry, my child, this broken heart is not going to last for long, and good things are in store for you. And somehow I had that conviction in my heart that, whatever's going on in my life back in that time, at that moment, I knew I had that conviction that it was all going to be for my good. And it turned out for my good.
Wow, yeah, so that is hard, isn't it? Like in situations like
absolutely.
that. But just to believe that it will work out is the amazing thing too, to have that faith.
To have that faith, absolutely.
That's great. So the next one is, He loves you and cares for you. Is your heart, His arms are extended towards you that he may embrace you. Now she's asking, children, is your heart open towards Jesus? Have you completely surrendered your life into His hands? Have you accepted Jesus as your Father to whom you can always turn to? Just stop there. But so she's asking us now, have we accepted Him?
Yes, absolutely. And I think with my experience that I've just explained to you about, even more so, I felt like Jesus is my father. Like, He's my friend, He's my brother, He's my father. I'm an only child. I don't have siblings, but I felt like, there is someone whom I can talk to, even if you cannot see Him, but He is with you and He makes you feel loved. So that was a surreal experience. And it was just amazing. Like, I accepted Jesus a long time ago as my Lord and Savior, but He made it more real to me every single experience I had.
That's so beautiful. We have to go to a break now. Yeah. You're watching Spirit of Life. Hope you're enjoying the program. We'll see you again very shortly. welcome back to Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich. We're here with Jenilee Peterson and we're discussing Mary, Queen of Peace's message from Medjugorje. Let's continue with the show. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mirella.
Again from the break. But so we'll continue with Mary's message. Our Lady has said, have you completely, she's asking us to, analyse ourselves, I guess. Have you completely surrendered your life into his hands? Have you accepted Jesus as your Father to whom you can always turn to and him find consolation in everything you need to live true life? True faith. That is why, my children, surrender your hearts to Jesus and permit him to begin to rule your lives. Because only in this way will you accept the present and be able, I'll stop there. So what are your thoughts on that? We won't continue.
Yeah, so my prayer, my personal prayer has always been the words of Mary, behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord, let it be done unto me according to your will, according to your word. So I always say, Lord, let your will be done in my life. I always surrender my life to Jesus. No matter what situation I'm going through, I'm like, Lord, let your will be done. And even when I'm discerning about something, like when I have to make a big decision, I always say, Lord, let your will be done. Not my will, but thy will be done. So, in that way, in that prayer, I kind of make it a prayer of surrender and surrender my life. And I see that when I do that, the Lord always has the best plans in store for me, and then only the best outcomes come out of it. So then my faith always has been affirmed in that way.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful example, yeah. And then you just trust in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know like nothing will go wrong when the Lord is in control, and like you just read the words of Mother Mary, like he will be in control of your life when you surrender your life to him. And I think that's basically what he's asking of us. He's given us the free will to do whatever we want. But at the end of the day, no decision that we can ever take for ourselves will be greater than what God has in store for you. So I think if, from my personal experience, like when you surrender your life to God, he will do amazing things in your life.
Yeah. I guess it's people are a little bit scared. That's why they're scared, because they can't see him. So they're scared to sort of just let go and surrender.
Because somehow as humans, we tend to panic when we're losing control of things.
Yeah.
But what we don't understand is if you let go of that control and let God take control, there is a song which says, Jesus, take the wheel, take it from my hands, because I cannot do it on my own and I'm letting go. And give me one more chance to take me on this road I'm on, and Jesus, take the wheel. So that's a lovely song that I love listening to as well.
Yeah.
Because it's just what we want in our life. Like you don't know where you're driving the car in your life, where the path is leading to. But when Jesus is taking control of the wheel, you can be rest assured that the path you're on is the path to like heaven, basically.
That's right. And even as a little exercise, you can give it a go. Like you can try, like just maybe for the next hour in your life, just say, I'm going to try and trust in God, and then build it to a week, and then a day, and then a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And just how things develop if you trust in him.
Yeah.
And magic happens. It really is. If you do it really in that spirit, magic, it's magical, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's supernatural.
Make a wish. Okay, that's beautiful. So Our Lady said, with Jesus, every fear, suffering and pain disappear because your heart accepts his will, and everything that comes into your... I have to go to the next page because it's a long message. And everything that comes into your life.
Yeah.
So that's so beautiful. Then she says, Jesus will give you the faith to accept everything, and nothing will distance you from him, because he firmly holds you by the hand and does not permit for you to distance and lose yourself in difficult moments. So once you give over, he's not going to permit anything to go wrong. Once you really do it in that spirit, but it's got to be done in the genuine spirit of faith and trust.
Yeah.
And then you'll see that he won't permit anything else.
Yeah. In fact, the incident I mentioned where I was going through brokenheartedness, and things around me were crumbling, like in my social life or with my friends, I realized like I had been deserted by a lot of people, and I felt like, oh my goodness, maybe someone's out to harm me, or like people might want to get get back at me for some reason. But I felt like this protective shield of God around me. So much so that when I was going through that tough time, nothing was able to penetrate that protective shield that God had around me. Like no negativity was able to seep through that shield and like harm me, because I was already going through my own thing. And in that moment, like God protected me and he was able to help me come out of it, and then brought me out of that place as well, because June of 2018 is when I entered Australia then.
Wow.
And I left everything behind and started a new life, and it was beautiful because I felt like God just brought me out of, a place where I was not meant to be anymore, into like a promised land sort of thing in my life, basically, where he wanted me to continue the rest of my journey. And the moment I arrived here, then I was surrounded by family, and 3 months later I joined my prayer group, Jesus Youth, and I was surrounded by a whole community of friends and people who are just like cheerleaders, cheering me on as I walked through my faith journey in my life. And it's just so surreal how the Lord played that role of a father, comforter, guide, and just protected me with that shield of protectiveness, and did not let anything wrong happen to me during that time when I was already hurting.
That's beautiful, and you would have done it with that spirit of trust to get the results.
Absolutely. I just learned blind faith and trust in Jesus. Like it was like a trust fall. I was ready to just fall back into his arms, and I'm like, I know my Father will get a hold of me, like he will not let me hurt myself in this time. And it was like Psalms 91. I used to pray Psalms 91, like I mentioned on my last show here, that Psalms 91 is a prayer that I say almost every day, repeatedly.
Oh, well, let's say it now before we go to break.
He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. Will say of the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror of the night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that stalks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord your refuge, the Most High your dwelling place, no evil shall befall you, no scourge come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. In their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the serpent you will trample underfoot. Those who love me, I will deliver them. I will protect them who know my name. When they call to me, I will answer them. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue them and honor them with long life. I will satisfy them and show them my salvation.
Beautiful. We have to go now. Would you like to come back again on the show? We'll do another one.
Yes, definitely. I would love to come
Lovely.
back.
Thank you. You've been watching Spirit of Life. I hope you enjoyed the program. We'll see you again next time.
Bring it to birth and blow where you will. Blow, blow, blow till I be but breath of the Spirit.